the water ski.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mark, for coming along. So I represent Mid Bedfordshire, which is on your sort of western edge of your territory, but I've also got an interest in the whole region as Vice Chair of the APPG on the East of England, APPG. As we've discussed today, the East of England is one of the driest in England, one of the driest areas in England. Droughts are common, but also so is flooding, actually. I know my area was hit quite heavily with flooding September, October last year. So I'm interested in talking a little bit about water resilience and flood management, if that's okay. We've talked about your efforts to reduce leakage, and I'd like to just sort of dig into that a little bit to start, if I may. Your progress on leakage has stalled since 2021-22, the data that I've seen. I'd like to know why that's the case and what you're doing about it.
Okay. I think the leakage, I mean, it's interesting. The same amount of water leaves our system today as it does at the privatisation, and we've got something like 25% more properties in the patch. So over time, the leakage has massively improved, and it's as good as it's ever been actually now, notwithstanding you make reference to some sort of near-term changes. Yep. We've got to a point where we've probably made all of the what I might call sort of tactical interventions we can make into our main system. And that's why I made the point earlier. We've got an 1,100 kilometre programme in AMP8 on leakage. I think there was a conscious decision to have a reduced amount of leakage intervention in AMP7. If you go back to AMP6 and 5, my understanding it was higher. So AMP7 has seen a dip. That really kicks up again now in AMP8. So I'd expect to see, and to think we've got something like 39,000 kilometres of water mains, and we're doing 1,100 kilometres in one AMP. So that's, again, a relatively small percentage to the earlier point, but that's ultimately going to make a difference. I think the other thing that we've seen huge benefit of is the impact of the smart metering program. Mm-hmm. So we can see through night time, because of the smart metering program, we can see where customers are losing water overnight, because actually they're using water when they're clearly not, and that's because it's on their side, and we can work with those customers to intervene and get that water usage and leakage dealt with. And then there's a whole series of things we're doing with technology to sort of improve resilience and monitoring of our system so we can find leakage. We've done a lot of work around pressure balancing, so we've got a sort of network in Anglian between the three main reservoirs, and the leakage detection team have sort of taken me through how we can manage pressure to make sure we reduce leakage in the system in a way that customers don't notice it, but actually we can make sure that we don't unduly sort of put more pressure into the system than necessary. And then I think the wider point around resilience of water supplies is the conversation with Andrew around the investment in the pipelines and the reservoirs, and ultimately giving the region, to your point around it's the dries, it's water starved, huge demand from agriculture, as well as this development in building and property, as well as all the industrial needs. We're going to need more water in this region in the next 20 years, and that's part of the big investment program.
Yeah. So thanks for walking us through what you are doing, but it's still the case that I think that Ofwat is concerned about Anglian Water not meeting its targets. Are they right to be concerned?
Well, and I'm concerned, but it's interesting. Our actual leakage number is one of the best in the industry, but the way the Ofwat measure works, they measure you against percentage improvement from where you start at the beginning of the AMP. And like on any sort of improvement, so we're at the point of the curve where our ability to improve is much harder because we're already outperforming most. That's why we've sort of made a point of investing a significant more investment in. I mean, the leakage target, we've got what I think there's an issue the way that works in the Ofwat model, but I don't want to sort of hide behind the model. The reality is the investment in the next 5 years is going to make a difference. But as a company, we're one of the frontier performers on leakage, and it's been an area where Anglian has historically invested for several AMPs actually.